Alright guys, I'm going to try and make this short. This is a quick little overview video of my go-to slash 4x4. I've got quite a few slashes, and this setup here is what I wish I should have built all of my slashes as. It does have some money in it, but not nearly as much as some of my other trucks, with like the Castle Combo or Proline shocks, you know. This one you could replicate for, well, I don't want to think about it, but let's take a look. This is my go-to slash. This truck has done 59 miles an hour in the grass on 4S, and on 6S it's done 69. But honestly, 4S is where it's at. It doesn't get hot on 4S. It doesn't get hot on 6S either. It gets warm. On 4S, the motor is always ambient temperature, and the ESC has never gone into thermal shutdown, and that's as pictured with these 8-scale buggy Badlands. But anyway, let's take a look at what's going on here. So this is a Arma combo. This is the 6S ESC and the 4S motor, so that's 2400 kV. This combo you can get on eBay for $100. You do have to buy them separately because they don't normally come together, because this is off of the 4S truck, like the Outcast or Creighton, and then the ESC is off any of their 6S. But the motor does fit in the stock location on the stock motor plate. I do have an STRC motor plate, but it would work fine on the stock plate. The only modification you need to do, it's not really a modification to get this to fit, is you got to move your receiver to the front. Now on the LCG, there are existing holes in the chassis that'll allow you to mount your receiver box up here, so you don't have to drill any holes, nothing. Same with the ESC. There are existing holes on the chassis that you can mount your ESC with the existing body tabs. There's plenty of room in here, and this motor is extremely torquey. Arma motors are super torquey. The ESC is rated for 150 amps and 6S, so when you run it on 4S, same thing. It never gets hot. It doesn't break a sweat. For the servo, this is just an Amazon 20 kilogram. I think they're like $15, maybe less. I really like them. I've had this one in here from the beginning, and I've never had any problems with it. It's not waterproof, but man, I run this thing in a lot of water, and whenever I clean the truck, I just hose it down, and I've never had problems with the servo. Anyway, so for power, that's all you need to do. And you can get the gearing perfect on 4S. On 3S, it'd still be pretty quick, I'm sure. But on 4S, I run 54-21 gearing. So 54 is the stock size spur, and then 21 is the biggest pinion you can fit on the stock motor plate. 22 maybe you could fit, 21 for sure. And on 4S, that's the sweet spot, because it'll run 60 miles an hour off-road on 4S without breaking a sweat. So once you do the electronics, I do recommend you do drivetrain upgrades. I always like to use an aluminum motor mount. This one is the King heads. I do prefer the King heads. I have the STRC on another truck, and I do prefer the King heads. I do have the Robinson Gen 3 slipper in there, just because I wanted the metal spur gear. I do have it locked down, but anyway, the other must is the Techno Big Bone drive shaft, and this I recommend on any slash, whether it's upgraded or not. And the reason for the reliability in the dog bone is when the chassis flexes, and it will flex, any kind of landing, any jump, any crash, your stock drive shaft will bend because it has the splined ends. But with the dog bone ends, it will accommodate that flex, and I've never bent a Techno Big Bone. I do run MIP X duties. Yeah, they're expensive, but man, they work great, and they're tough. And you can see I don't really do much maintenance. You could try the Traxxas Extreme Heavy Duty off the Rustler. They're $48 a set, and if they work for you, then you just saved $100. But buy once, cry once, and as long as you Loctite your set screws, I've never had to worry about losing the set screws on these. I do also have the XL1 diff upgrades. You can't see it, it's internal of course, but that's a must, especially if you're going to run 6S. 4S they'll last a while if you're easy on the throttle, but if you've got a heavy throttle finger, then yeah, you got to do the XL1 diff upgrade, and that's 15-20 bucks to get the parts, the Traxxas parts off of an XL1. Jenny's also sells complete diffs out of an XL1 for 25 bucks with the bearings, so that's actually a good upgrade also. This Hobby Wing fan was I think 10 bucks, $10-11 on Amazon. The shocks. So this truck started as a platinum, and I always recommend the platinum if it's in your budget, because it comes with the Traxxas GTR shocks, which are great, by the way. They're better than the Prolines in my opinion, and they're a fraction of the cost. They have hardened shaft, aluminum threaded shock body, so easy preload adjustment. And as you can see, I have the stock caps. I've never popped off a shock cap on any Traxxas GTR shock before, ever. And all I have on there is, so it's a stock Traxxas GTR shock with the VG spring. I highly recommend the VG springs. But anyways, back to the platinum. They come with aluminum hub carriers, caster blocks, and knuckles, as well as sway bars. So sway bars are a must on any car, off-road or on-road in my opinion. They just improve the handling. And then for aluminum, I don't typically like aluminum on a basher, except for something that houses a bearing. So no, I don't run aluminum towers, I don't run aluminum arms, none of that crap. But where it houses a bearing, for sure, I like to use aluminum. It dissipates some of the heat if there is any heat in the bearing, and it's just a more rigid bearing carrier. I do have RPM arms though, and I do like RPM arms. I typically will run the stock arms until I break them, and the stock Traxxas arms actually, they do pretty good. The only reason I broke one on this exact truck is because I hit a culvert around 45-50 miles an hour, and it just sheared the arm. So whenever I break one, I just go ahead and replace all four. I think it's 20 bucks for a set. What else? As you can see, I still have the stock tie rods. Like I said, stock towers, stock bumpers. To run 8-scale buggy tires, you do need to get a hex adapter for the 17mm. I do like to run buggy tires on all my fast slashes just because they balloon less, and typically they also have more power in my fast slashes, and the 17 almost impossible to strip. The 12 actually, as long as you keep them tight, the wheel nut, then you're not really going to strip them, but I still prefer to run buggy tires and everything. If you do run the MIP X Duties, since they have their own proprietary wheel hex and they don't use a cross pin, you can't use the normal style of 17mm adapter, which you use as a cross pin. You have to get the MIP brand of 17 hex adapter, or Hot Racing makes a certain style, which is what I have, which slides over your existing 12mm hex. The normal Hot Racing adapter replaces the 12 hex altogether, but you need the one that keeps the 12 hex on the car and then slides over the 12 hex. Anyway, on 4S, like I said, this truck has done 60 miles an hour in the grass, so it's pretty fast. And that's on 4S. The battery clamp mount system here, this is the Traxxas tall battery mount upgrade. Bolts right in, battery is nice and secure, and you don't have to mess with any custom Velcro straps or any of that BS. But that's about it. There is some money in here, but you can easily spend double this by getting the Proline BS, or a really fancy Hobby Wing or Castle combo. And no offense, because I do run Castle and Hobby Wing and other trucks, but this Arma combo shits on them. So on that note, thanks for watching, and go bash.